welcome to the group exhibit Hydrogen and Fuel Cells here at HANNOVER Fair 2013. I'm Alexa von Busse and I'd like to invite you now to come here to have a seat, to have a drink, a coffee on the house and to ask questions. As we are a public forum, I'm not the only one who's allowed to ask questions. Just raise your hand and I come around with a microphone. So my next guest is the sales manager of Freudenberg Fuel Cell Component Technologies, and we are talking about their new fuel cell filter and the Humidifier series. So please help me welcome sales manager Klaus Leister on stage.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Leister. Thank you for being here. Yeah, Mr. Leister, I said it as Freudenberg is involved in a whole bunch of business fields. Could you please give us a short overview of what the company is doing and what the business fields are?
Yes, Freudenberg is a family-owned company, but it's a quite big one, so making about 6 billion euro turnover. And we are working in the field of non-wovens, sealings, but also maybe you know Veleda Haushaltsproducts, so that's also part of Freudenberg. Yeah.
Since when are you doing this?
Since 1848. Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of experience there. What components are you producing for the fuel cell sector?
Yeah, Freudenberg is producing gas diffusion layer for the stack, but also stack sealing solutions. But besides the stack components, we also produce balance of plant components, fuel cell filter, so cathode intake air filter, and humidifier. Okay,
and we'd like to talk about your filters first. You brought one with you. Can you just show us what it is?
So this is our cathode intake air filter, so one of our standard sizes. And
what kind of role does it play in a fuel cell system?
Yeah, the cathode intake air filter filters the air from any kind of contaminants like particles or gaseous contaminants, to protect the fuel cell, actually. Yeah.
What do I need the fuel cell to be protected from? I mean, what do these gases or
there are some substances which have a harmful effect on the fuel cell, like sulfur components, or also some I would say particles. Iron, for example, fuel cells doesn't like. So, and if these components or harmful substances get into the fuel cell, that will have an effect on the lifetime of the fuel cell, but also effect on the
the performance.
Performance, of course, yes.
Okay.
So, from that point of view, a filter is an important component to protect and to increase the lifetime of the filter, and also to assure a safe function. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you developed a new, this is a kind of fleece right here,
yes.
right?
So
what is new to this?
Right, as Freudenberg is a producer of non-woven, we produce the filter media, so which is actually in here, and what does the filtration function. So we have developed a special filter media to protect the fuel cell in a proper way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what is it?
Okay, it's actually a mixture between a chemical filtration, but also adsorption filtration and particle filtration. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the particulate filtration is more than 98%. So now more than 98% of each particle size we filter out. So that's really good. So that's very high-class filtration, and we have also protection against sulfur components, but also against toluol, so hydrocarbons, aromatic hydrocarbons like toluol, or butane, like more long-chain hydrocarbons, and also what's new, filtration against ammonia. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what the topic says, and I was wondering, aren't there other substances that are more that have more effects on the performance of the fuel cell than ammonia?
Yeah, usually the most critical components we see is, I think, from the gaseous side, it's sulfur components, SO2 for example, or H2S.
And sulfur is the thing that smells like
yes,
rotted eggs, right?
right. The hydrogen sulfur. So that's and for that we have a chemical filtration. So we really get that out, and because what we see is that nothing should get into no molecule should get into the fuel cell, because every molecule will inhibit a certain part of the catalyst, and over the lifetime it will lead to a degradation of the fuel cell.
And does this filter get 100% out of the sulfur and the ammonia and the other substances?
At the beginning, so when the filter is new, yes, but of course at the end of the lifetime of the filter, I mean, when it's exhausted, you will get a breakthrough, of course, yes.
About what time are we talking about when we're talking about lifetime? How long does it work?
It depends a little bit on the operation conditions. So we have field test data where we can calculate the lifetime of a filter. So when customer comes to us, we can give them a recommendation on how often they have to change. But usually, it also depends a little bit on the contamination level in environment. So it's a recommendation. Yeah.
When you're talking about that, where do we find a lot of ammonia? So where should we use this kind of fleece actually?
Actually, what we see is that when you are in what we see with ammonia is not as critical as sulfur components, but what we also see is that it's a reversible effect on the performance, but as long as the fuel cell system is contaminated by ammonia, so the power goes down. So when you're in an area where you have a high ammonia level, like in a rural area, countryside area, so then it could have an effect. Yeah.
Yeah, I did some horse riding when I was younger, and it smells
exactly
the ammonia when you go pretty close to the horses' houses.
Yeah, but also when you look to the traffic area, so the new regulations with regards to the NOx reduction of trucks, for example, leads to that it's called like AdBlue. It's a certain type of reduction of NOx, and with that process also ammonia is released in certain portions. So that means that also in the traffic area you will have an increased amount of ammonia.
Okay. Can you use this new material for all your filters?
Yes, it's basically so all filters what we produce in a more panel style. So we have this is the ammonia function is introduced for basically all panel style filters, and so it's now standardly available. Yeah.
What kind of filters do you have? Could you just give us a quick overview of the range?
Yeah, actually we cover, let's say, the filtration needs from, I would say, some watts, let's say below 100 watt fuel cell systems up to megawatt style. Yeah, so we could cover the whole range. So whatever a customer needs. Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to remind the public that you're allowed to ask questions as well. I'm not the only one allowed, so just raise your hand. I come down with a microphone whenever a question comes up to your mind. Are there any at the moment? Okay, because we'd like to talk about another topic. You have a new humidifier series created, and let me first get that. Yeah, that's an example for that. Let me first get that. What is humidification for in fuel cells, and how does it work?
Yeah, I think humidification is necessary not for every system, but for PEM fuel cell system which should have a high power density or long lifetime. So for those systems, an external humidification is necessary. And for these systems, we have developed a special membrane type for gas-to-gas humidification. And last year we introduced our 20 series, which is a little bit smaller than that, and this year we introduced the bigger style, so the 30 series. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's currently the new one. Yeah.
Which is all visible at your booth as well.
Yes.
For what kind of application do we need these kind of humidifiers? I'm sorry.
Okay, so when we look to, for example, lifetime, then cogeneration application with a PEM fuel cell systems usually have that type of humidification. So when you look to some of the Japanese styles systems, you will find our humidifier in.
Just to get an imagination of what it could be. Is it like a forklift, or is it like a car, or what could it be?
So for household, the cogeneration systems is more in the direction of lifetime. When we look to, let's say, forklift or car, then it's more power density. So I think also for car application and forklift, we now see that humidification is needed. So what we also see that it's easier to get a humidifier, to produce a cheap humidifier instead of producing a fuel cell, a cheap fuel cell without what can handle, what don't need an external humidifier. So right now, what we see right now is that all customer, what we talk to, tend to use or to prefer a humidifier instead of trying to reduce it. Yeah, because I mean it's more expensive to produce a humidifier, to produce a fuel cell without humidifier than if you use the cheap humidifier.
Why is it more expensive? Because if it lacks the humidifier, it should be less expensive.
Yes, you save the money for the humidifier. Mm-hmm. Yes, but you have to. You cannot run the fuel cell at the high power density, so you need more cells, for example, and that's also more expensive. Though the equation is that if you balance each against others, then it's cheaper using a humidifier.
So basically, the humidifier is less expensive than a Staxar.
Exactly.
Okay. Could you just quickly explain what this is and how this works?
So actually, it's a gas-to-gas humidifier. So we have here flexibility of. It's a modular concept, so we can change the lengths, but we also can change the port positions and the type of ports over here. So that's the advantage when we look to integration. Yeah, that we have a system which can easily be adapted to OEM requirements.
Okay. Are there any questions from the public right now? Then let me maybe ask my last one. As you said, you introduced the HU20 series last year and the HU30 series this year. Yep. Are there an HU40 and 50 series coming up, and are you enlarging this humidifier to a big extent?
In generally, we are thinking about. Yeah. So in the first step, we would like to see the market needs also for that bigger style humidifier, and getting experiences with the 30 series, but this is something what we are thinking about. Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm really curious what is happening next year, and hope to see you next year here.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for being here. And if there are further questions coming up, you can follow Mr. Leister to his booth. It's number C75, which is here right behind us, right?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.